for those who don't know me, I am based mostly in Calgary. I live part-time in a few places, including Toronto and Palm Springs, which is where I am tonight. So glad to see you all, live from Palm Springs, California. So I'm just going to throw up the slideshow. There we go. I think you can all see that. And as Devin said, we invest in 3 provinces, 3 states, and 3 countries. But the markets that we're talking about tonight, Vancouver and Edmonton, really, are such great markets. One of the other things that was talked about tonight is getting into real estate now and building a life around it. And it's not, as James said, not flicking a switch to just have your real estate be everything in your life. So I worked for 13 years out of Washington, D.C., and I worked for a cybersecurity training organization. So I was on airplanes a lot. And we still managed to build our real estate portfolio through that time. And it really is, leveling up on one side, winding down certain things on the other. So tonight we're going to talk about what I'm passionate about is living a lifestyle of your own design. And to me, that means living a life of prosperity, not just money, but abundance and the things that really matter. And I think that it's important as we look ahead. You're going to do this later, but what does my day look like? It's 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when I thought about a 5-year plan and leaving my job, I had decided what I wanted my days to look like. And so I thought it would be fun to just sort of guide you through what my day as a part-time real estate investor, because I know many of you have the dream to be a full-time real estate investor, but once I was able to step out of my career and have my real estate working for me, my goal was only to work on real estate part-time. There are babies to be hugged. There are friends to be met with. There are beaches to be sat on. James and I are opposite there, and he knows this about me. I know he loves the snow. I don't. So my day started at 6 a.m. with coffee with a cousin who happened to be in town, hadn't seen for years. I have to take dogs to the dog park. You can see them there. In-N-Out burgers. Everybody loves In-N-Out here in California. Had a call from our title here who told me about mobile notaries that drive around the U.S. So we've got some paperwork coming up on a U.S. deal, and it's going to be a little bit to do while we're still down here. We'll be back in Canada. And because of COVID, it's not easy back and forth these days. So I don't know if you all knew this, but actually call this mobile notary and they will come and meet you on the U.S. side border somewhere. So it's going to be a great day. We'll drive down to Lethbridge, see my mother-in-law, go across, sign the papers, and get that done. And we're going to make an adventure out of that, because every day should be an adventure. Which we had an inspection done on a property that we're selling, wonderful little property that we've owned many years. And we bought that through something called an agreement for sale. So for those of you who know, this is a creative strategy. You can see that count in the bottom. We bought that using $5,000. And we got to take that property over and run it for a few years, build up the equity. Fortunately, that market didn't grow as much as we hoped. It's a great little unit, but it's not serving us well anymore. We're selling it to do some other stuff. As you go to the other side of the page, you can see at the bottom there is this amazing pool. This is a 6-unit property that we close on March 1st on a Caribbean island. And today we got to have a team call. Talked about the power team. So we had our manager, we had our on-site contractor. Everybody was on a call today about that project. So it's another part of my day. Just above that, you can see a little yellow mid-century building that's here in California. This one, we finalized a backup offer on that today, which took a little bit of time, back and forth. as we were sitting outside by the pool on our phone. I got to talk to my good friend, Wendy Russell. And if I can just put a plug in here, tomorrow she's doing a free class. You can register at wendyrussell.com on being on video and doing Facebook Lives and things like that. A great thing that as investors, you want people to know who you are. Tonight you're here with me, you get to know a little bit more about me, and maybe we're aligned. Maybe you want to work together. Maybe there's something I can help you with. So Wendy has that class tomorrow. So for anyone that wants to attend that. Then I got to supervise my husband hanging a light fixture, and we laugh at that because it has literally been hanging there. You can see the wires like for a month. So a little bit of the cobbler's children not having shoes, that expression. So got to do a little bit of stuff around the house. And then I had some time for girlfriends today. I had someone who needed me, and the phone rang, and I was able to sort of clear the decks for an hour and just spend some time with her. So to me, that is my day. That's what I want my day to look like. Now, how did I get to that point, right? It wasn't just easy. It wasn't, like James said, it's not just flicking a switch. You really have to think about how you want to live your life and how you're going to get there. So I talk about get real, get clarity, get going as the 3 stages to head down the path to living a lifestyle of your own design. So let's jump into this idea of getting real. You're going to get real with yourself and with some other people here. So you need to stop a few things in your life. I don't know all of you. I know some of you, but there are many things, and I'm sure you already know this. Some of you are nodding your heads, but you need to stop. We all need to stop letting people feel that we aren't enough. Why should we have this? Why should I get to live this life where I pick out swimming pools, for goodness sake? Like, who am I but a girl who grew up in small town BC and Alberta? How do I get to live that life? And stop trying to fit into what other people think you should do, because you live too small. You won't live your authentic self. And that is where you truly start to excel and to live a bigger life and to live in abundance and to help more people. That's where you're truly living in prosperity. So think about those things that and when that popped up on the screen, they probably flashed up in your mind. There might be some people in your life, that popped up there. As you start thinking about what to start doing, there's probably a few visions there. So let's talk a little bit more about each sides of that. So what are the barriers that you need to remove? There are things that are in your way. You probably know what most of them are. Some of them, I still remove barriers. I was in the first goal setting, and I was saying that this year, my words for the year are openness and willingness, because I can find myself, I love planning, I love documents, and sometimes that might hold me back in ways I don't even know. So I really need to be careful with that as a barrier. It's not such a bad trait, but it can still be a barrier. What relationships do you have in your life that may need to change? It might be some beliefs about money. It might be the way you spend money or think about money. Again, that abundance mindset, scarcity mindset. There might be people that there are relationships that aren't serving you well, or the way you're living in that relationship isn't serving you well. Your career, right? I had a wonderful career. I said I was working out of Washington, D.C. I traveled around North America. I had a couple of business units that I looked after. It was wonderful, but at a certain point, that career wasn't serving me well, and I needed to get out of that. Sometimes our family and our history come in ways we can't change that, right? But we can certainly change how we react to it. We can certainly change our expectations of family and relationships, or where we came from and what we think that might lead us to. It doesn't matter where you came from. It matters where you're going. and where you decide to go. You're going to have some excuses that you need to throw out. What are you not enough of, or you're too? I grew up, my poor mother was always like, where did this girl come from? Why won't she shut up? I was too much, right? And that's okay. For some people, I'm too much. For others, it's just right. So I had to learn to live with that myself and figure that out. And you will too. It's an important part of figuring out who your authentic self is, who you want to show up as, all of those things that matter. So I have a little exercise for you to do, and you can take a screenshot of this, take a photo of this, or just write it down in your notebook. But what I want you to do, and you can do this, you might want to do this monthly to start. Think about your present state. Where are you today? And jot down, 3 or 4 things. I'm in a job, 9 to 5, I invested in real estate, and I feel like I want to travel more. They can be whatever you want. Then list the things that are holding you back from doing those 2 or 3 things in your present state. And just think about those for a moment. So if you're writing right now, just take a moment, go ahead and write down where you are now, 2 to 3 points. Think about what's holding you back. Is there something that's telling you that you have to stay in a job that you don't like? Is there something that is keeping you in a relationship that you don't want? Is there something that's keeping you off your version of the ski hill? What is that? What's holding you back from getting out on your ski hill more often? Why aren't you doing that? If you're wanting to get invested in real estate, why aren't you doing that? Is it a lack of money? Is it a lack of time? Is it that you don't know how to get started? So just write down a couple of points on each of those. And then comes the fun part. What will you do about those things? You're holding yourself back. There's something in front of you that's holding you back. You have the power to do something about that. So you want to get invested in real estate and money is holding you back. Well, what will you do about that? Well, I'll go to events like the Mogul Mastermind to network with other active investors. I'll find out how I can partner with someone who has money or learn about how to partner with people. Maybe I'll take a course. Maybe I'll call up one of these investor-focused realtors and talk to them. Maybe I'll connect with someone after this mastermind, and I'll start to figure out how to do it. So use this exercise, whenever you're sort of feeling held back on a regular basis. I think once a month, just, write this on the 7th of the month, these 3 columns in your day timer, and take a look at this. And you'll start to notice that the things that you think are holding you back are actually just obstacles you haven't overcome yet. So figure out how to overcome them, and that starts to help you take action. And as you take action, you get success under your belt, and then you'll keep going. The more successful you are, the harder you work, the more successful you become, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's performance and planning go hand in hand. You really can't have one without the other. And high performers are very clear. They do this type of work. They do it regularly. They figure out what they want. They figure out their why. They figure out what their ski hill is, where they want to be. For me, it's a beach. So we built our portfolio so that we could run it from the beach or, here on a golf course. You write that down, step those steps, and it will happen. And I'm here tonight. I put that first slide up there, not to say, hey, look at how amazing my life is, but to say, I sat down and did this work and I created this so you can too. You're no different than me. High performers use this type of discipline and the process and the systems. It may seem a little hokey, but it works. So think about that. And if you are willing to work hard over a long period of time, then you will get there. You know, we can all work hard for a short period of time, but it's those who continue to work hard over a long period of time. And that's where those processes and systems come into play. They are what enable you to continue to work hard over an extended period of time. Now, that expression, you know, love what you do and you'll never work another day. I mean, this is so true, right? While I was working in the company that I did, while I loved it, I was doing fantastic work. Once I stopped loving it, my work wasn't as good anymore. The things that I love doing, you know, I love helping women to get into real estate or new investors. I just love that. That makes me good at it, right? It doesn't feel like work to me. It gives me the secondhand stoke. So think about those things that you love and value. In real estate investing, if you love furnished rentals, vacation rentals, you know, I love those. I don't love B market multifamilies. A lot of people doing really well with that. I invest in those. I just do it passively because it's not my love. Someone else loves nothing better than going in there and doing the reno and working with those tenants. Fantastic. Let them do that. Figure out your strengths and always pursue excellence in whatever you do. And that's across personal, professional, you know, we all know that one. Think about your mindset and the alignment that you have. You know, it's really important. What you surround yourself with, you will become. So, you know, find others, events like this, get on into these courses, learn more about what you want to do, ask questions, see somebody who's doing what you want to do and go talk to them, right? That's the easiest way to sort of get better at it. When you think about, you know, people who start young, they generally have someone that they look up to that sort of shows them the ropes. You know, they've seen it. And whether it's a book, a podcast, whatever it is, just get more of that in your life and in your day. All right. So that was the getting real. Now let's talk a little bit about clarity. Clarity can be a little bit difficult. So now we've figured out what's in our way, where we want to go to. Now let's get really clear on where we want to go. So the vision board. Do not mock the power of a vision board. It is quite interesting that you can start to put down onto paper your thoughts. You know, on this one, like it might be, do you want a beautiful home? Do you want the private jets? There's nothing wrong with that. Is it helping others? Is it getting together with others at sporting events in a suite? It's like, what is it that really jazzes you? Is it not having to wake up to an alarm clock in the morning? Is it being out on the lake fishing at your cottage? Fill your vision board with the things that you want, that you love, you know, that spark joy, and build that vision board. If you're in a relationship, you each have a vision board, and then you can make one together even, which I think is kind of fun. So we also in our family have the album cover. So my mother and her mother both died at 47. And my cousin died 40th birthday, and another cousin died in her 40s. It just, you know, the women in my life are not known for longevity. And I said, forget that. When I wake up alive on my 48th birthday, it will be with a view of the Eiffel Tower. And so here I am with my three guys on my 48th birthday in front of the Eiffel Tower. And this is the album cover of our life. This is that snapshot in time. It's our Abbey Road. It is that moment where you just think, yes, this is what I want, to be able to do that. So I encourage you to think about your vision board, but also, you know, what is your album cover? And for the guys in the crowd, they seem to like that album cover idea. So what do you want the snapshot of your life to look like? Okay. So what does your perfect day look like? So again, we're not going to get all the pictures and that here. You might want to just jot these down and think about this. And when I think about how I fill my days, you want to think about your faith. What do you believe in? Is it, faith can mean many things. You have faith in yourself as well, your family and friends, your fitness, meaning your health, your mental health, your fitness, being fit to live the life you want. Fulfillment, huge one for me. Fulfillment matters to me. And these can be in any order, by the way. Fun and finances. So let's think about your perfect day. Do you wake up? Where do you wake up? Are you bathed in sunlight? Do you hear water? Do you hear waves? Who's there? Are you far away? Are you on an island? Are you on the side of a ski hill? Are you in your house that's filled with people you love? Think about as you're, waking up that morning, what are you looking forward to? I got to tell you, I wake up, this might be wrong, but I wake up so excited about that first cup of coffee. And here I have it out by the pool in the morning. And this, to me, to wake up outside drinking coffee in January is amazing. Like, it just feels so decadent to me. You might be excited about getting out and going for that run, having your morning meditation or journaling. What does your day start look like to you? And then what are your goals through the day? What are you pursuing? Who are you seeing? What do you feel through the day? Are you driving a car? Are you driving a Jeep through the jungle? Are you getting into an office and being surrounded by a team of creative people and creating a project? What are you hearing? Think about those things on your day. The more detail you can get to, the better. And then start to design the life that gives you that perfect day. Go back to alignment. Are your values aligning with your day timer now? Will they on your perfect day? Is there more that you can remove to get closer to how you want to live? What are some of the steps that you might take in the next 30 days? And as you can see, I believe in visuals and sticky notes and things like that. They're great tools. Use them. Put things in front of you so that you remember when you get a call from a tenant that, is going to move out before the end of their lease and you're frustrated because now you have to get an ad and find a new tenant. You can look at that vision board and go, okay, well, every month, we remind ourselves this in our house. Every month across the country, a bunch of lovely people pay our mortgages. And every once in a while, one of them doesn't, or something goes wrong, right? But it just keeps us going so that we don't get down because we've got $1,000 water bill because a tenant didn't realize the toilet shouldn't be running. True story, recency effect. So I had to remind ourselves that people are paying our mortgages across the country. Okay, the next step. So you've gotten real, you've got it all figured out. You know where you're going, you've gotten clear. Let's talk about getting going. So go back to this present state again. Where are you at? Now we know our future state. This one, again, this one you'll want to take away. Not enough time really to do this one here, but where are you at now? Where you want to get to? Think about sort of what are the 5 steps that you need to get there. I like 5 steps, 5 years. You can shorten that, you can lengthen that, but it makes it manageable. We want to break this down. Oops, there we go. You have to know your numbers. So, obviously your revenue number is a really important thing. It's lovely to say that I want to spend my day ice skating and I want to see all my friends and I want to carry a Gucci purse. You have to know what revenue is going to get there, what kind of numbers you need. So know your numbers, all of your numbers. The better you know your numbers, the better business person you will be, the better decisions you will make that can then be in alignment with how you want to live. What are your expenses? What isn't serving your goal? Are there other ways you can make money? What credit do you have available? Guys, this stuff matters so much. You might think, well, why is she talking about all this mindset stuff and dream and smell the leather of the new car and then know your numbers? Because that's how you get there. You have to know these numbers. You have to remind yourself why you're going there and how you're going to get there. The other thing is right now, I think, we have 4 refinances going on, a couple of mortgage applications. We would be going crazy if we didn't have all of that information at our fingertips, especially the way we travel, the way we've designed our life. We don't necessarily have an office. It has to all be mobile. We're the mobile moguls. So you have to know these numbers. You have to have things well organized. It's the best way to run a business. You want to be able to make the best decision the quickest you can. So you need to be able to act on a property when you see it. You need to be able to get your financing in order, right? We wrote a backup offer today. We were able to actually, last night we reached out to the mortgage broker. He was able to issue a letter today that went with that offer and said, yes, these people can pay you. Ditch that other guy. No, I'm kidding. But, you want to be organized because it makes it easier. It makes you feel better. You'll sleep better at night. And isn't that the whole goal? Live a life of prosperity where you feel good more of the time. So I also want to just encourage you to think about your whole life in terms of the financial aspects. Think about things like your, insurance and your will and living will docs. Think about organ donation. I love to preach that. My father received a lung transplant, double lung transplant. And so we got the gift of life. So when you're thinking about those documents, great time to have that conversation. But really think about your numbers, how you manage your money so that your money's not managing you. And that will make you better as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, but more so as someone who lives a life of their own design. Okay, so this is where this kind of gets fun. Now, bear with me because there's a lot going on this slide, but the 5-year plan and sort of the idea of flipping. So if we start this year, let's say the average person on this call has a couple of properties. You're never going to get rich on your cash flow from your properties. I think we all know that. So you start out in 2022, you've got a couple properties, there's some cash flow there, you're building up some equity. If you're in a market like Vancouver, you're getting great market. If you're in Edmonton, you might be waiting, but you've had, you've done okay. But you've got your full salary. And I just used $100,000 because that's what, most people seem to think they want. For most people, when they're doing this exercise, honestly, whatever you make as a wage in your job is probably close to what you'll need in retirement. So if we look at this example, I think you can look at almost every property that you have will sort of pay you on those 4 days that James talked about. I like to use $10,000 a year. So that's the cash flow, mortgage pay down, your market appreciation. And then you can refi that money out sort of every 4, 5, 6 years. So I count those as about $10,000 a year overall. So the first year you've got a couple of properties and you're making $100,000 at your job. Great, that's where you are today. Maybe only one and you add another one this year. Next year, you might be able to buy a third property. And then if you move over to the other side where I've got the money, you make your $100,000, but maybe you do a flip and you make $30,000 cash that you get to keep. That's revenue for the year. Now you can decide if you want to spend that revenue, live on that revenue, or reinvest it back in your business, right? So the next year, 2024, you might be able to refi a property and you go to the other side, you're still making $100,000. Maybe you do a flip, maybe you do a second flip that you partner with somebody. So now you made a little more. Maybe you've made $50,000 and you decide, now I have $50,000. I'm going to do a private lending deal at 14% and you make another $7,000. Well, now on that cash side, you've got 4 houses that theoretically are going to give you their $10,000 each. You don't get it, it's not paid out directly. It takes time. But on the cash flow side, you've got $57,000 that is moving along, right? Again, you can live on some of that money. You can invest it back in your business. So maybe the next year you refinance a house or two, and all of a sudden you're into a small multi, and you do a couple more flips and you generate some money. Well, look at that, 2 flips, $80,000. Now you've got that money in private lending. That's another $11,000. Like you're there, right? So think of those properties as little building blocks, private lending, flips, all of those things help you to build that up. And again, as we say, it's not flipping a switch. It's you deciding how much work you want to do, right? Some of these are easy things to do. Flips are a lot of work. Private lending is a little bit easier, a little more due diligence, but once it's done, you don't have to do any work. So that's how you build your 5-year plan to suit you. You might want to go faster. You might want to do more flips. You might want to do more passive lending, whatever it is, but you build a plan that looks something like this, but that works for you. Then you work backwards and you break that 5 years into 1 year cycles. I love to break down my year into quarters, sort of as a to-do list. What I want you to think about is if you want to buy a house right now, another investment property, you have to start in Q1. You want to do the market research. Where am I going to buy this house? What type of property am I going to have? Then you need to go find a realtor, a mortgage broker, your other power team members. Maybe you want to be renovating, like you'll have to start looking for maybe designers and reno people. You might want to find a partner for this. So you have to start that ahead of time. It's not just running out and grabbing a partner. You have to start networking. You have to maybe create an investor package that tells about you and go find that partner. So then maybe Q2, you and your realtor have found the right property in the right market with the right strategy. So you buy that property, and then you have to get a tenant in place. Well, again, that's a process. Think about those as you break it down through the quarters of the year. Break down the quarters, the next quarter into weeks, and then of course, break that week ahead of you into days. Oops. We talked about knowing your numbers. I want to talk about your schedule. Know your schedule and control it. Know your money so you control it. It doesn't control you. Your schedule, the same thing. If you're planning appropriately, you can control what happens in your days and your weeks. Set up some discipline around this. I subscribe to the Brendan Burchard sort of theory on high performance planning. Sundays, you sit down and you take some time, you look ahead to the week, you decide what's going to happen. Does it serve you? Is it in alignment? If not, then think about it. Does it have to be on there? Get rid of some of those things that aren't serving you and all those F words I talked about. In the morning, get up and take a look at your day. Understand what's going on. There's nothing wrong with taking 10 or 15 minutes instead of jumping right into emails or jumping onto social media. Think about how you want your day to look. Break out any time. I knew last night this girlfriend was going to need some time today. So I was able to start juggling. And one of the things is I was supposed to go pick up my car from the shop. And I said, no, they'll have to bring it back to me. They kept it an extra day. I need this time. They'll bring it back to me. So think about those things. In the evening or afternoon, look back on your day. Make sure that you've spent it the way that you want to spend it. You got the things that you needed to, and then look at what has to be carried over and review. Friday afternoon, do the same thing for the week. Look back and see what was on there. The other thing you get to do at that time is take a look at the things that didn't get done. You didn't prioritize, and ask yourself, do they actually need to be done? Because sometimes they don't, right? I think we're all guilty of putting some of those things on our to-do lists, and they maybe don't need to be there. So take a critical look at that and get rid of them, right? Be a part-time real estate investor, not a full-time real estate investor. And then, and I put days of the week in here. It can be whatever day you want to get out there, but don't forget to relax and refresh and just, reset yourself or renovate. I'm looking up at the light fixture that we had to hang, like leave work and go have some fun for some point in time. So again, I want to say to you all, what What is your album cover? What is going on that you want to do? In 2021, Ann and I set our revenue goal. We knew what we had to do. And then we decided to do it in 6 months. So we finished all of our North American real estate in 6 months. It wasn't easy. There was one deal that sort of slid a little bit into the second half of the year, but we knew I was launching Real Power, which is a group for female investors. And I just needed to create the space to do that and to not be rushing. And so I don't care what that is for you, but sometimes you'll just need time, create some space to do something. It might be to take up a new sport. It might be to go to one of these retreats where you head into the woods and don't talk for a week. It could be anything that you want to do. It might just be that you want to, get to yoga class 3 times a week, something like that. But create that space. I think that's really important. Remember to have some fun, get creative. Don't lose yourself in your entrepreneurial pursuits. You are a whole person. You need to nurture and feed those other parts of your life. We ended up still doing a bunch of real estate that we didn't anticipate. In fact, we bought, it's actually a boutique hotel in the Caribbean, and had a lot of fun with that. And we thought about, of all things, doing a flip because we could. So create some space for some fun stuff, and then other things will happen in that time as well. So think about that album cover, fun stuff like traveling to Paris with your kids and waking up with that view of the Eiffel Tower and making memories that you'll never forget. So that's everything that I sort of have. I'm looking forward to, dialogue with you all. And I just encourage you to think of this theory that, you already have no. Go get what you want. Don't be the people who sit back and just live a small life and never really go for it. Go do something that scares you. Be open, be willing, get help, get support, do your research. Don't just dive, blindly into this stuff, but go take that step forward and build your life of prosperity, whatever that looks like to you. And if I can help you do that, please let me know, because that's part of my why. And so thank you all for being here, and I look forward to your questions.
Well, Deanna, thank you so much. That was excellent. Really appreciate it. We will take a quick look in the, yeah, sorry, we are on. We'll take a quick look in the chat here for any questions. I guess I have one question for you, just because after great presentations, everyone's inspired and full of all sorts of motivation and that, but then they wake up tomorrow morning and they go, where do I start? So what's the take? What should somebody do tomorrow morning when they wake up and they're still thinking about your presentation? What's step one tomorrow?
I think step one is that perfect day and that vision board, right? Pick one of them, right? If the vision board is too much, start with the day. That's why I say the day. It's pretty easy to decide how you want to spend one day. So write it down, think about it. But again, use your senses, right? If you think about driving, imagine that steering wheel, imagine the car smell, the wind in your hair if it's a convertible, right? What are you seeing? Imagine all the senses that are lit up so that you're there, and get real and grounded in it. So design that perfect day.